We're going to talk one more time on reserve your judgments, which judgments are actually left up to God. But most people have ignored that part, and they're going ahead and doing the judging anyway, condemning, passing judgment on individuals. But what I want to finish this series about is what type of an example do you really honestly think we're setting before people today, and especially our youth? Are we setting the right type of an example before them? Are we just equipping them to be radical and angry and mad and upset and hostile? What are we presenting to our young people today? Do we give them the chance to actually voice and sit down and just listen to them? Just stop talking and just listen to what our youth is actually discussing with us, and what maybe their concerns are, what maybe they would like to see take place in this world today. You say, well, they're just young, how would they know? You'd be surprised. Our young people today are very wise, very much informed. They're savvy to what's going on in this world. And do you actually think they need to hear any more about it? You may say, well, but they have to be informed and to know what to be on alert about. Certain things, yes. But what other type of an example are we setting? Are we setting before them positiveness, serenity, security, stableness in the home, anger? What are we setting before them? What type of an example are we presenting to the people, even in our churches today? I have to ask that again. What kind of an example are we setting before people? And what do we give them? And what is it doing? Is it nutrients? Is it feeding them? Anything to give them solidness and stableness in life? Or are we just pumping them full more of what the news is talking about? And judging and criticizing and critical. I mean, seriously, critical. We have passed, I've heard a lot of people talking about, they've already passed judgment. It's as if they have bypassed God. It's like they don't even think we need God anymore. They'll pass a judgment. They're going to hell, and that's it. That's all. Do you really think that's right? It's not right. According to, if you want to follow the scriptures, of course it's not right. But yet you hear them say, the scriptures say, the scriptures say. The scriptures tell us to not judge. But yet I hear it being done. I hear criticism about the youth and their music, types of music they like to listen to. I hear criticisms about, mostly what I want to address is the ones they criticize about when they gather together to worship the Lord. Now listen, they're better off inside in a, what you consider, many have considered it to be like a rock concert. Would you rather they were out on the street? Would it be better they were out there on the streets of where they show these homeless people and the drug addicts and the crime and the violence? Which would be best is what I'm asking today. I would rather they would be in there worshiping and shouting. You say it's an emotional. What do you think the worship is about? What do you think God is about? Do you think he's looking for the most quiet one of the bunch? There's nothing wrong with being quiet. There's times we're better off quiet than to be doing anything, actually. But do that when David went to battle, in this one particular passage of scriptures where it's talking about having musicians and singers and had their instruments, and they had them before the army headed out to battle. And what were they doing? You think they were singing some sort of a funeral march? Do you think it was just quiet, reserved? There's a time and a place for everything. I do agree, yes. But you know what? They were blowing their trumpets, playing their harps, beating on the tambourines, singing praises and shouting. Oh my, it just gives me chills to think about what that might have been like, to see them and see that great army behind them people. the worshipers, bring it on. Bring this battle on, because the enemy is coming down and coming down today, because we have a program here that's going to work. What we're going to do is we're going to confuse our enemies and make them wonder, what in the world are they doing out there worshiping in a time like this? It's a battle. We're in a war. We got all these problems going on today. What in the world are we doing worshiping? What are we shouting for and praising and smiling and raising our hands? It's an emotional outburst, is it? Listen, I would rather the youth knew we were supporting them and we were encouraging them to seek God, to worship God. Quiet forms, loud forms, whatever works for you is best. But listen, when you criticize them and you actually tell them that's Satan, what in the world are we actually thinking today? What is our mindset on today? Are we really believing that when they gather together, the instruments are too loud, we got too much of this, too much of that? Well, I just wonder sometimes why we have to find fault in anything and everything. Why do we find fault with these dear, young, bright, active young people, to cut them down, take them down, make them feel bad about what they're doing and worshiping? Like I said, would you rather they were out on the street? I wonder what people really think. I wonder if they think they're setting the right example. We need to check ourselves and say, am I setting any kind of an example for my children, my grandchildren, those around me, people at church, people at work? What example am I setting before them? We are representatives of God. We're an ambassadors of the Lord. Now, does that make us better? Absolutely not. We have all sinned and come short of the glory of God. When you think you've got it all figured out, more than likely, we don't have anything figured out. All we know is this: we need God, we need help, and we need support. We need a foundation, we need confidence, we need joy, we need peace, we need some happiness. We need some happy times, some joyful times. Like my son said one time with his music, it may be the only joy or happiness they have, and I like doing it. I want you to worship God the way you feel is the best. But most importantly, set an example for our youth today. Give them hope. Give them encouragement. Take time and listen to them. Don't always correct them. Don't always be a big old house bully. Now you know you don't do that. You don't do this. Just listen. Pay attention. Be observing. Young people today, there's a lot of them, they've given up on life. Let's give them life. Let's give them hope. Let's give them life, and it more abundantly. I can't think of a better thing for us to do than to just be happy and joyful and filled with God's Spirit. And happiness is going to go a long ways. Say, well, it's not preparing them for battle. Looks like David sure knew what to do, doesn't it? Looks like when they tore the walls of Jericho down, they certainly weren't quiet, and then they were rowdy, and they had such a volume going on that shook the walls down, and the people entered in. Oh, and by the way, David and his crew and his choir and his musicians won that battle. Confused the enemy. Worship anyway. I hope this has encouraged you. And so until next time.